And joining us now on our Book Talk segment, great to welcome. A woman has written a kind of interesting book. It's sort of a memoir. That's what it's called, a memoir of sorts. It's called I'm Already Disturbed, Please Come In. We're joined today by, she's an author, she's a poet, very talented woman, Gabrielle Glancy from out in California today. And Gabrielle, good to talk with you. How are you?
Good to be here. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, good to have a chance to chat with you, an opportunity to read through the book. And I guess a lot of people will be interested in this. And this is kind of about your journey or experiences going through some health issues and dealing with the hospital and medical system. So you kind of put it in a humorous way, but not all of it was funny, right?
It wasn't funny at the time.
No.
But after going through the experience and looking back on it, I saw the absurdity in it. Let's put it that way. And I think that gets brought out in the book.
When you were going through this, were you taking notes, or did you do all this afterward? Because you get some real good descriptions of what you went through.
Well, I mean, mostly I was taking notes in my head,
right.
Because I actually was really pretty sick, and I'm a writer, so generally speaking, when I'm well and everything is good, I'm writing all the time. I'm always working on something, and at this point, I was working on getting better, and that's pretty much all I was doing. And after a time, I realized that I had seen a lot of specialists, and I kind of had a parade of specialists and doctors that I'd seen, and I kind of was taking mental notes. And after a point, I began to write. When I felt well enough, I began to write the story of what had happened to me.
And in the book, you tell the stories, and you also have, I guess at the time, you were putting a lot of things up on, Facebook and Twitter and that kind of thing, right, with different things you were going through at the time? Or is this after the fact?
No. Basically what was happening is I was working. I'm a single mom, so I was working, even though sometimes I would have to excuse myself, go into the restroom and lie down on the floor to get the blood back to my head, because I was passing out a lot of the time. Mm. So I was working, taking care of my son, who was about 3 at the time. So he was young. He was a toddler. And then when I had a free moment, I found myself taking Facebook screenshots of Facebook images that sort of struck my fancy, that I really wasn't able to do much else at that time. If I had been better, I would have been working on another novel that I was writing, or a book of poetry, or other kinds of things, but I wasn't well enough to do almost anything else. And I just sort of found myself taking these screenshots, and it was only later that I realized that there was an element to social media that is, when we speak about things being viral, and I saw that there was a parasitic element to social media that sort of takes over you. You kind of get possessed by it in a certain way and addicted to it, Facebook particularly. And then I realized that I really had a book there between my own illness and what I just found myself doing.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there with the way things can go viral. They call that, with a video or whatever goes viral, but and people do get on that a lot, put pretty much everything up online, and some of it helpful, some of it not, but you're right about that. It can be addicting to many people, can it?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, and I recently have read quite a lot of articles saying that people who are on Facebook a lot tend to be more depressed, because they see everybody, on vacation with their significant others. Right. The weather is sunny and beautiful, and you think, their life looks perfect. So I think it does have it's not always good for your health, let's put it that way.
And again, kind of going back to what you were going through, and a lot of people have gone through the similar thing. You're not feeling well, you're not quite sure what it is, and then you get into the whole situation of going to doctors, and they don't know right away. So unfortunately, you went through that. That's a tough thing to go through. I went through something similar a while ago, and then you get in the hospital, and I like your title, I'm Already Disturbed, Please Come In. You never get any rest in the hospital.
Yeah, well, two things that I want to say in response to what you just mentioned. One is that anytime anyone reads about the book or hears about it, they either they've had the same experience themselves, or they know someone who has also had some sort of strange, undiagnosed illness, like, it turns out to be Lyme disease that was never detected, or Epstein-Barr, chronic fatigue, or there's a lot of things these days, and all kinds of strange autoimmune diseases that have not been really diagnosed. So I think people really, it's a universal experience, pretty much, to have had in your lifetime something that you're just so sick you don't know what it is, and I think it's more and more common, as things go on. The other thing is that as far as the title goes, I realized that part of the reason that I was so susceptible to, as it turns out, I had parasites, but it wasn't diagnosed for almost 3 years. And I realized that we're very susceptible as a species, and certainly my own self, because of what we've done to the environment, both external and internal. So we've sort of abused our planet, and and because the ozone is burned off as a result of climate change, and the amount of pollution and so forth, it's caused disturbances, and so we're more vulnerable to these ailments and illnesses.
Yeah, scary, particularly with the recent Ebola situation. I mean, that's not the first viral thing like that, but that's the most recent, unfortunately. And fortunately, it seems like they've at least come up with something to contain it, if not cure it. But it's a scary thing when you got something like that and you don't know what it is. Doctors don't know what it is. That's even worse. To how to treat it.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Well, that's exactly right. And completely unprepared. The medical field is completely unprepared for that kind of pandemic. And realized, oh my God, what do we do? And luckily it seems to have been contained in the United States anyway. And it's not in the press the way it was previously. But I think, as a result of there's this morphing and changing and mutating viruses because of what we've done to ourselves and to our environment. So it's no wonder that they get out of control, and then it's sort of the Frankenstein model. As a result of what we've done, these things take over us.
Well, since we're talking to you, we know you came out okay, but how long did it take before they finally diagnosed you properly and you were able to get completely well?
Well, I think it was about close to 3 years before I was diagnosed, 2.5, 3 years. And, it was very simple. I had never had a stool test in all my travels. They were looking in my stomach, but they were doing it with, endoscopies and colonoscopies, and they were microbes, so you can't see them, with ultrasound. And strangely, no one had ever said to me, well, let's do a stool test and see what's going on. And finally, when I did, I went to someone who suggested I do that, and it turned out I had, very raging strongyloides, which is a parasite that itself, it eats your food, and then it secretes something that's like cyanide. It's got a toxic secretion. So it was both that I wasn't getting the nutrition that I needed, first of all, and secondly that whatever the parasites were leaving, they were pooping out, so to speak. It was making me really, really sick. So once it was diagnosed, I took 4 courses of ivermectin and bendazole, which is just like human DDT, and that eventually worked. We kept doing tests again to see that they were truly eradicated, and it took a long time. It took about a year to get rid of them. And then after that, I've just had to rebuild my intestinal flora. So I take huge quantities of probiotics, and I don't think I could live without them. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to live without them.
A lot of yogurt, so, right?
Well, yeah, I actually had so much yogurt that I'm sort of allergic to it now. So I actually take literal probiotic pills.
Yeah, well, first of all, we're happy that you're well, but again, myself, not that particular situation, but something similar to it, and a lot of people, I'm sure, in our audience have gone through something similar. It's a scary thing, but you've kind of turned it into a humorous book as well. It's called I'm Already Disturbed, Please Come In. Parasites, Social Media, and Other Planetary Disturbances, a memoir of sorts. We've been talking with Gabrielle Glancy today. And Gabrielle, do you have a website you want to direct people to and get a hold of you of the book?
Sure. It's just www.gabrielleglancy.com, and there's a contact. I'd love to be in touch with whoever, and the book is available on Amazon.
Great. Published by, I think it's Oneric Press, or O-N-E-I-R-I, Oneric Press. So it just came out, and we also have a place on the website. People can order it as well. But, Gabrielle, appreciate you taking a few minutes. I'm glad we finally were able to connect with you, and please keep in touch. Next book comes out. Love to have you back on again.
Thanks. We'd love to come back.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or Doug Miles Media.